Good afternoon, YouTube. Go ahead. Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Real Life Reviews. Today we're going to be discussing pool sanitizers. I say chlorine. I say salt. Let's do the chemistry. When most people start deciding how they want to treat their pool water, they generally break down into two groups. Group A, the people that prefer chlorine. Group B, the people that prefer salt. I'm here to bridge the gap. We're going to cover a lot of information in this content. It is true that salt and chlorine are one and the same. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute, but I want to explain. We're going to do some chemistry, and I need you to understand why some people go one way and some people go the next. So stay tuned. This is going to be fun-filled, but it's going to be pretty packed, so hang on. Let's go back to freshman chemistry. The chemical compound for salt is NaCl. That's sodium chloride. It has exactly a 1-to-1 ratio of sodium and chlorine ions. Hence, salt produces chlorine. Essentially, it's the reason why I started this video out with a clone. They have a lot of similarities, but they do also have fundamental differences. And let's start breaking those down. In order to have a good concept and understanding of each type of sanitizer, you need to know a few basic principles of each. So how is chlorine made? Chlorine is made by ionizing salt. So when you buy tablets at the store or you buy a shock that you treat your pool with, the way they made that is they ionized salt. If you have a saltwater pool, you fill it up with salt to begin with, and then your saltwater treatment center ionizes the salt as it comes through the pump. So you can either buy tablets and shock at the store, or you can produce chlorine right there at your house. Let me say it again. Chlorine you buy at the store and salt that you add to your pool, they are one and the same. They're both chlorine. A big question people ask when they consider using saltwater system is it like swimming in the ocean? No, the answer is no. It's only 1/16 of the content of the water. It is 25% that of what you sweat out or maybe in a teardrop. So no, you cannot taste or smell or feel the salt in the water. It is a very low dosage of chlorine, yet it's still a very effective sanitizer. And even though they're very similar, I just want to talk about some differences that they have. Let's talk about the maintenance. You have salt versus tabs, right? So the maintenance for each. If you go with saltwater pool, the maintenance is you only have to add salt at the initial startup, and then you're going to have to add a little salt for water evaporation. If you go with chlorine tabs, you have to add those every week, or depending on how long they stay in your holder. Generally, we always shocked our pool just before church on Sunday. That way it was safe to swim in on Sunday afternoon, because you don't want to get in the pool right after you shock it. Things will change colors, like your skin and hair and clothes and whatever. So the cost. So once you make your initial investment in your saltwater system and your 4 or 5 bags that you have to add in the very beginning, that's all you have to add. If you leave your pool up all year round, all you've got to do is just add a little salt at the beginning of your next season. Now, we always take our pool down every year, so we're going to have to start back over with 4 bags of salt again. But with a tab setup, you constantly have to add a couple of tabs and the shock once a week. Is after your initial investment with a saltwater system is less than it is with the chlorine system. But there is a trade-off. With a saltwater system, you are adding another additional component to your pool, which can break down over time. So it's kind of like a trade-off. As far as the concentration of chlorine is concerned, salt water is very, very minimal. And chlorine, or tabbed water, is very, very high. The toxicity for a saltwater pool, very low, but is corrosive to metal components. Toxicity for chlorine is it's really strong on your eyes, it's harsh smell, bad on your lungs, it's damaging to your hair, and it's also damaging to your clothes. Ultimately, at the end of the day, whether you choose chlorine tabs or salt water is completely up to you. They both do the same thing. One costs a little more in the beginning, but one's a little bit more maintenance in the end. The choice is really up to you. The last thing we're going to talk about in this content today is something you need to know. And we're going to have to jump up a grade to sophomore chemistry now. And this is where I'm going to lose some of you, but you need to hear me out. That way it clears up a lot of misunderstanding about chlorine. So if you walk up to a poolside, if you smell a strong odor of chlorine, there's a 99% chance that you do not have enough chlorine in the water. That's right. The stronger the smell, the less the chlorine. And let me use chemistry to explain why that is. That typical pool smell that you smell is not from chlorine, like I said. It's from something called chloramine. Chloramines are the product or the result of combining chlorine A with part B, which is human bodily fluids like sweat, oils, and urine. So when you add chlorine to water, a chemical reaction takes place. Two chemicals are created: hypochlorous acid, which is HOCI, and hypochlorite ion, which is OCI. And when you measure these two chemicals together, the result solution is called free available chlorine, or FAC. With all that said, you understand how you get free available chlorine. Remember the first component we talked about, the hypochlorous acid. When hypochlorous acid, part A of your free available chlorine, meets ammonia, which is NH3, it creates chloramines. Chloramines, remember, like I said, is that smell that you smell. And you guessed it, ammonia, NH3 is what? If it's not sweat, it's urine. And I don't know how many people sweat when they swim. So in a summary, if you approach a pool and it smells very strongly of chlorine, then there's probably more urine than there is water in that pool. And I know that I just single-handedly ruined every vacation you ever took at any hotel in the United States of America. Because as soon as you walk into the pool room, it smells so strong it burns your eyes. And that is chloramine, not chlorine. So look, if you're new to this channel, we typically do reviews. Today we did chemistry. We also do things like DIYs and cooks. If you like things like that, feel free to go ahead and subscribe to this channel for future weekly updates. I hope that I was able to shed a little light on the difference between salt and chlorine. Essentially, they're one and the same. At the end of the day, it's completely up to you what you want to go with. Me, I chose to go with salt. Until next week, be well. This is Real Life Reviews.